What's this? Oh my god, climbing from the bottom takes way too long. Tell everybody that I'm sorry, but I'm never gonna come back. And it's clear it's all gone, and finding what we have just feels so wrong. I know nobody's gonna stop me, cause I'm never gonna come back.
Hello, Fox.
Hello there.
We are very glad to interview you.
Hey.
And there go the first question. The first question is to introduce yourself a little. How did Fox Stevenson begin?
Okay. So Fox Stevenson came from a point after Stan SB where I decided that I really didn't want to just be making drum and bass anymore, and that I wanted to move forward with some kind of, I guess, just experimenting with other kinds of styles. And I knew that if I did it with Stan SB, there would be a lot more resistance to the idea of change, or the idea of an introduction of new things. So the name change happened, and I haven't looked back.
One of your greatest virtues is your very characteristic sound, making people able to recognize any of your tracks by just listening to them a few seconds. How has it been the journey till reaching that sound?
That's not been something I've done on purpose. That's something that's just kind of evolved for me. Usually I attribute that, and I say that the reason that my tracks sound like my tracks is because I only do things that make me happy, or make me, bring me joy with the track. So and I think that if everybody did that, everybody would have their own sound. Like if you make a decision based on only your own tastes, then two things happen: you stay consistent to yourself, and you make something that sounds like only you can, because only you have your taste.
When did you realize that you could be the vocalist of your own tracks?
Before I was really producing, I was actually singing a lot, and I was in like pop punk bands and like playing bass in a pop punk 3-piece band. And when that disappeared, I was like, I guess I'll sing on my production stuff. It's always been what I've wanted to do. I think that being able to write vocals and sing on tracks is it's another dimension to explore as a musician as well as a composer. I don't know when I realized it, but it's kind of always been there. Yeah.
Okay. Considering your incredible versatility in producing various genres, do you think there is any music genre that will resist to you by the time of producing, like a genre that you will never produce?
I don't think there's any genre I would never produce. I think it's more a case of there are certain sounds of tracks, or certain sounds of genres that I'm really not that into. Nothing really comes to mind that much, but like, yeah, there are just certain sounds from, I guess, like hard style. I'm not personally that into hard style, but I'm not against, a kick being at that speed or anything like that. I just don't really like that hard style kick sound. So maybe I would never truly make a hard style track, but maybe I'd make something that's close to it. I'm not sure. That's it.
This year you have started a new project in which you release vocal tracks such as On My Head, and then you remix them. How did you come up to this idea?
So all the tracks that are coming out this year have already been written. They have been written over the course of about 3 or 4 years. The reason I'm remixing them is kind of just so that the people who like my stuff that's a little heavier and a little harder or whatever, that they have something to listen to as well. But the main point is, that I want to release these tracks that are all about songs, because that's what I want to be about more. I want to write tracks that are songs, instead of just like a little bit of vocal and then a load of dance beats. I still like those beats and stuff, and I still make those things at home, but it's not what I'd necessarily want to be about. So the remixes are kind of like the second thing to me.
Which ones do you think that have been the best and the worst moment of your career, and why?
That's hard to say. I can't think of either. There have been some great times where I've been like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. Like a good example would be I over the last couple of years, I've become quite close with the guys from Noisia, and they were always heroes of mine. And I was at a show in Rotterdam, I think, and Pendulum played Bruises, which was the new track at the time. And Nick from Noisia came over to me and said, "Hey, that must be quite cool." And then we had like a conversation about like phone games. Stood on the side of the stage while Pendulum play my song, speaking to Nick from Noisia. That was quite a surreal high point in my career. And in terms of worst, it's really hard to say in that case. I mean, like, there are times where I felt horrible. Like I remember once I was in Orlando in Florida, and I said, "Hey everybody," I said, "Hey Tampa" when I came on stage, which is wrong. I mean, like, that's a small, horrible low point. In terms of low points in music, it's hard to fully define one, because usually low points come because you've done something a long time ago, so you can't tell why. Everything in music kind of shows up late. It's a weird one.
Last year you released Breezes, which has been one of the most relevant tracks of the whole drum and bass scene in 2018. Did you expect this success while you were producing it?
No, I didn't. I don't actually think that Bruises was successful because of its drop either, personally. I think that the fact that it was something... Usually what happens with my most successful tracks are usually the tracks that I just spend no time on, and I just kind of let the idea fly out and I put it down and then release it and kind of forget about it. Bruises was just a little instrumental idea that I had. And then I added that vocal to it in like the space of a day, added the rocky section, and didn't really think too much about it afterwards. And then I guess that I must have just got something quite right. I think that in music, it's really easy to get too worried or get kind of caught up on the details, and that's when you kind of take the soul out of something. And I'm definitely guilty of doing it all the time as well. But when I don't do it, I end up with tracks like Bruises, Hoo Ha was another one of them, and that one's lasted a really long time. The remix of that I did in a day as well. It seems that if I spend no time on a track, it does better. So
a typical thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How does it feel to be part of Discipler Records, considering that you all look like a big family from outside? Tell us a little bit about how the label works and how it is the relationship between all of you.
The relationship between everyone and Disciples, great. We all went on holiday together recently. The label works as you'd want a label to work. They're there for you when you need them, and they support all of their artists equally and lovingly, and do their best to put out the music that they think is best. And you don't really need anything else from a label. Everyone else on there is an amazing producer. They all know what they're doing. It's a great collective to be part of.
What do you think about electronic music current scene, considering the great influence of urban music, like more trap sounds or even reggaeton and things like that?
Yeah, it's kind of curious to see where things go. I never know with these sort of things. I think one trend I have noticed is that music in general has started going towards a much kind of more easy sound, and I don't mean easy to produce. I mean that the music isn't really like in your face and very challenging to listen to. It's very subdued. Yeah, subdued, not very, simple, not very, it's not super aggressive. And even like the tracks that are kind of aggressive, they have sort of like a cool aggressiveness to them. They're not as crazy and loud in your face, unless you're talking about Jump Up, but that's always been its own thing, right?
This week we have received the tragical news about Kate Flynn's death. What has the Prodigy's music meant to you?
The Prodigy was a big influence on me, especially at the beginning. Outer Space by the Prodigy was the first time I've ever heard breakbeat sounds or anything like that. It was an entire gateway sound for me, and I don't really know what my musical influences would have been without that sort of track. I personally never met Keith Flint, but I know a lot of people who did, and I've heard some really amazing stories about the guy since then. And it's a shame that these days, if something, it takes somebody to die for everyone to appreciate them almost. But yeah, they were pioneers, and I don't think there's ever going to be anyone quite like them again.
Has been a great influence to electronic music. Okay, now we have a round of short questions to you. The first one is dubstep or drum and bass?
I can't answer that.
DJing or producing?
It depends. It depends on the day. That changes. That changes. Today DJing. I'm here to DJ today.
Favorite artist at the moment?
I've never really had favorite artists, but right now I'm really into a track called Colors by Beck, which is an awesome track. Yeah.
Like the second question is favorite song at the moment.
Oh, that one. Yeah, Colors by Beck. It's super cool.
And finally, an underrated artist.
Underrated artist. So many. See, I hate calling people underrated because I always feel a little bit like it's almost like, you know, a bad thing to say to someone that you're underrated. Oh, you're small, you know. But I think the next person I think is going to get really big that isn't big yet is going to be Eliminate, who's on Disciple, and he makes
Release an EP near.
that EP. I think will do really well personally.
Okay. Thank you so much, folks. Can you say hi to the readers of Loudcave?
Hey, how's it going?
Woo! Thank you so much.